Welcome to the Stateless Standard, where we kindle the golden torch against the bonfires of bureaucratic tyranny, illuminating the charred remnants of liberty's illusions. Today, we trek into the haunted hollows of Ruby Ridge, Idaho, site of an 11-day siege in August 1992 that stands as a grim parable of federal overreach. What began as a routine arms sting spiraled into a bloodbath, a family gunned down by sniper fire, a dog executed on the doorstep, and a mother slain while cradling her infant. The Weaver family, devout Christian survivalists, became collateral in the war on militias, a prelude to Waco's inferno. Was this justice served cold, or the state flexing its boot on the neck of dissent? We shall chronicle the folly with educational rigor and the cynicism it so bitterly warrants. For in Ruby Ridge, the American dream met its federal nightmare. Light your own torch, and let's descend into the ridge. Our tale opens in the early 1980s, amid the Reagan-era rustle of economic malaise and cultural unease. Randy Weaver, a 44-year-old ex-Green Beret and factory worker from Iowa, embodied the archetype of the white working-class everyman teetering on the edge, disillusioned by job losses, racial tensions, and what he saw as moral decay. MTV's Siren Call, interracial dating ads that curdled his milk. Weaver sought refuge in the Aryan Nation's fold. This white separatist group, holed up in nearby Hayden Lake under Pastor Richard Butler, preached a theology of racial purity and apocalyptic vigilance. Weaver attended rallies, not as a firebrand, but a fellow traveler. A man quoting end-time scripture, not storming barricades. In 1983, the Weavers fled urban Iowa for 20 acres of rugged Idaho wilderness, $5,000 down on a dream of self-reliance. They bartered venison and built a cabin without electricity or plumbing, homeschooling their 4 children in Bible verses and marksmanship. Vicki, Randy's iron-willed wife, envisioned a patriarchal haven, free from Zog's Zionist-occupied government's grasp. They weren't plotting revolution. They were preppers avant la lettre, stockpiling for the rapture. Cynical prelude. In a nation romanticizing the frontier, the Weavers were its last gasp, rugged individualists until the taxman or the feds came knocking. And knock they did, courtesy of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Enter August 1989. ATF informant Kenneth Fade, a silver-tongued grifter posing as a hapless hay farmer, infiltrates the Aryan Nation's summer solstice hoedown. Fade, with his ponytail and folksy yarns, bonds with Weaver over moonshine and mutual gripes. Spotting an opportunity, he steers talk to sawed-off shotguns, illegal under federal law if barrels dip below 18 inches. Weaver, no criminal mastermind, bites. He'll pinky swear to saw down 2 for $300 apiece, plus a favor, surveil a Montana gun show for feds. Fade seals it with a handshake and a photo op. Weaver delivers one modified Remington 870 in October. The second, he ghosts, spooked by Fade's persistent badgering and a gut sense of the setup. The ATF, scenting a scalp for their anti-militia trophy wall, escalates. In January 1991, they mail Randy an indictment for firearms violations, but sabotage it with a bogus address, ensuring evasion. A U.S. Marshal hand-delivers it in February, but Weaver, paranoid and principled, refuses to emerge without a surrender date that suits his court schedule. He scribbles a letter to the judge, yield only if family joins, and only post-Yom Kippur, a Jewish holiday twist that baffles but underscores his biblical literalism. The feds, sensing defiance, dub him a sovereign citizen, code for troublemaker in acronym land. By March 25, Marshals descend on Ruby Ridge for surveillance. Motion sensors, cameras, even an infrared-equipped DC-3 buzzing overhead like a mechanical vulture. Weaver spots them, barricades the cabin, and the siege clock ticks. Educational interlude. This wasn't law enforcement, it was a textbook entrapment op, straight from the COINTELPRO playbook of yore. The ATF needed a poster boy for domestic terrorism, and Weaver, with his separatist ties and armed homestead, fit the bill. Federal gun laws, ostensibly for public safety, here morphed into a cudgel against ideological outliers. Weaver faced a potential 15-year bid for a $300 side hustle he half completed. How reassuring. The state, guardian of the realm, ensnaring the unwary to justify its ever-expanding arsenal. One might almost admire the efficiency, if it didn't reek of predatory theater. August 21, 1992, the powder keg ignites. At dawn, U.S. Marshal Art Roderick, chafing from months of cat and mouse, unleashes the K-9 unit. 6 marshals in woodland camo, accompanied by Deputy William Deegan and his German Shepherd Stryker, probe the Weaver perimeter. They stumble into Sammy Weaver, Randy's 14-year-old son, and his 16-year-old friend Kevin Harris, both armed, patrolling like pint-sized sentinels. A shouted challenge, "Marshal service!" The boys, mistaking intruders for intruders, retreat toward the cabin. Stryker, off-leash and baying, charges Sammy. Gunfire erupts, a cacophony of confusion. Harris fires first, clipping Deegan. Roderick's shotgun booms, killing Stryker mid-leap. In the crossfire, Sammy's 223 round fells Deegan, who slumps dead into the underbrush. Sammy and Harris bolt back, but young Weaver catches a ricochet in the back. Dead at 14, his arm outstretched toward home. Panic ripples. Randy, hearing shots, emerges with his .30-06 bolt action, joining the fray. He wounds Harris in the arm. Harris, bleeding, clips Randy's shoulder. Vicki Weaver, 43 and great with child number 5, rushes to the cabin door. 10-month-old Elisheba in arms, 20-month-old Rachel at her skirts. From 100 yards, FBI hostage rescue team sniper Lon Horiuchi, perched on a ridge under rules of engagement that greenlit shoot on sight for any armed adult, peers through his scope. His first shot, through the cabin door, shattering Vicki's skull as she shields her babe. The bullet tunnels onward, wounding Harris in the groin. Blood sprays the kitchen, baby Elisheba wails, spattered in her mother's brains. Randy, holing up inside, cradles the carnage. Wife dead, son slain, family fractured. The siege proper begins, 11 days of psyops hell. What followed was federal force distilled to its essence, overkill as policy. Nearly 400 agents, FBI HRT, ATF, U.S. Marshals, INS Border Patrol, encircle Ruby Ridge, turning a family feud into a paramilitary tableau. M60 machine guns, Bradley fighting vehicles, grenade launchers on standby, the perimeter a no-man's land rid by concertina wire. Negotiators led by the hapless Beau Gritz, a Green Beret vet Weaver admired, plead via bullhorn. Randy, come out for the kids' sake. Feds, stung by Deegan's death, unleash psychological warfare worthy of Vietnam's front lines. Blasting Tibetan throat chants, bagpipe dirges, and the looped wails of a crying infant. A recording of a marshal's daughter, twisted into torment. Rabbits released to starve the family. Snipers' lasers dancing on the cabin walls like Death's Own disco. Inside, the survivors, Randy, Harris, Rachel, Sarah, and the baby, subsist on rainwater and jerky, the stench of decay mounting. Cynical commentary, behold the machinery of the state in microcosm. A $500,000 tab for an op that could have ended with a knock and a warrant. Instead, entrapment begets entrapment. Violence begets vendetta. The Rules of Engagement memo, later exposed, authorized lethal force against any armed male over 14, a blanket death warrant for the Weaver clan, issued sans due process. Horiuchi, the triggerman, claimed he feared for fellow agents. The DOJ shrugged it off as tragic mistake. One might forgive a ricochet in the fog of war. Harder to stomach when the war is with a grieving widow at her threshold. This wasn't defense, it was domestic pacification, a rehearsal for the surveillance state we now cozy up to. Dawn of August 31, Gritz brokers a ceasefire. Randy emerges, hands raised, whispering Vicki to the empty air. Sarah, 15 and steely, carries out baby Elisheba. Rachel, 10, follows numbly. Harris, catatonic from wounds, surrenders next. The feds cuff them amid cheers from the cordon, victory declared. But justice? A farce. Weaver faces involuntary manslaughter for Sammy and Dagan. Harris, the same. The 1993 trial in Boise, a circus of prosecutorial malfeasance. Evidence suppressed, the entrapment tapes, the faulty warrant. Judge Edward Lodge, no friend to Freeman, still acquits Weaver on all but failing to appear, a misdemeanor, 18 months served. Harris walks free. The ATF's fade? Granted immunity for perjury. Cynicism peaks. The state devours its own logic. Indict the bait, exonerate the trapper. The reckoning rippled. A 1994 DOJ inquiry under Deputy Attorney General Jamie Gorelick whitewashed the mess. No deliberate wrongdoing, but serious errors in rules of engagement. Horiuchi faced manslaughter charges in Idaho, dismissed on federal supremacy grounds. Weaver sued for $200 million, settled in 1995 for $3.1 million, no admission of guilt. The family splintered. Randy retreated to Montana, a ghost of his zeal. The kids scattered, scarred. Ruby Ridge birthed the siege mentality in militia lore, fueling Oklahoma City 2 years hence. Timothy McVeigh cited it as casus belli. Educational epilogue. It spurred reforms. The FBI's post-Waco handbook, limits on no-knock warrants, but hollow ones. The Patriot Act would later resurrect the beast, arming feds with Ruby's lessons in escalation. Skeptical summation. Ruby Ridge endures not as anomaly, but archetype, the federal colossus trampling the sovereign speck. A family of faith, flawed as any, ensnared by informants executed by snipers, then compensated like a faulty appliance. It exposes the cynicism at Empire's core. Liberty for thee, but not for the fringe dweller who dares defy. The Weavers weren't saints, their racism a stain, their isolation a symptom. Yet in their blood, the state revealed its hand, not protector but predator, mistaking a cabin standoff for Al-Qaeda's lair. Profound in its pettiness, profane in its power. A hierarchy of force, where the torch of freedom gutters under the boot. Charming? Hardly. Calculated? Utterly. The Ridge whispers, question the Guardians, lest they guard you into the grave. That's our fog-shrouded foray into the siege at Ruby Ridge, a chapter where the state wrote its own indictment in blood and blunder. If this tale tempered your trust in the machine, subscribe to the Stateless Standard for more unflinching forays into folly's frontier. Comment below. Entrapment or enforcement? Like, share, and join us next as we torch another tale of tyranny. Until then, fortify your ridge. Stay vigilant, stay stateless, stay free.